down. Sooner or later, gotta put you down. Go and tell that long-tongued liar. Go and tell that midnight rider. Tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter. Tell him the God's gonna put you down. Tell him the God's gonna cut him down. Well, my goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on bended knees, talking reality. He spoke to me with a voice so sweet. I thought I heard the shout of the angels. He called my name and my heart stood still. When he said, "Child, go do my will." Go and tell that long-tongued liar. Go and tell that midnight rider. Tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter. Tell him the God's gonna cut him down. Tell him the God's gonna cut him down. 'Cause you can run for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. But sooner or later, I'll put you down. Sooner or later, I'll put you down. You can throw your rock, hide your hand, working in the dark against your fellow man. But as sure as God made black and white, what's done in the dark will be brought to the light. 'Cause you can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. But sooner or later, I'll put you down. Sooner or later, I'll put you down. Go and tell that long-tongued liar. Go and tell the midnight rider. Tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter. Tell him the God's gonna cut him down. Tell him the God's gonna cut him down.
Welcome, everyone, to the Tori Says Show. I thought I'd start a little bit early just to kind of have a one-to-one with my listeners. So it's been a really rough couple days. Friday morning was really bizarre. My daughter called me to tell me that my big boy couldn't walk. And we did have an appointment for him, but, COVID and all, so they don't have appointments till like forever and a day. His actual appointment was for the 26th of July. And I told her, just take him to the ER. Like, are you kidding? Like, I Snapchatted with my boy on the video where he kind of just gave me the grumpy face look and did get up and get some water at some point. And I, even if it was expensive to go to the hospital as an emergency, it was like, nobody cares. It's his health. He did have some problems a couple weeks ago. And we changed his diet, and that helped because, he was not doing so well. And that's why we had booked the appointment with the doctor, told the doctor what the problem, the vet, that is, what the problems were. And they saw fit to see the dog after like 4 or 5 weeks. We changed his diet, and he got better. He was going to the bathroom, doing his business, but he just decided that he didn't want to get up after he went out for a walk to PetSmart. And for the first time in his whole life, did he take a dump in the PetSmart? Oh my gosh. But anyway, so I snapped with my boy, and, she got in, she told the emergency room she was coming. They said the doctor's not until 1, so come then. That's 2:00 our time. He didn't survive. The minute he arrived, 5 minutes later, he went. So it was pretty bad. But Today was even worse because we found out that our Dane, we took her in for geriatric screening, and, she has the same thing that Zeus has. She has cancer too. I mean, she's totally outlived her lifespan. She's a Great Dane and she's 11. So she's pretty old. And so they said she has anything from, a few weeks to a few months. So we're going to put her on medication so she's not in pain. But one thing that was a common factor, because as you guys know, I did lose my other dog, the Labrador, in 2019, was there was an evil person in my life a long time ago. And this evil person used the pets as leverage against children. And I remember clearly that there was a diet change in 2019 in the summer, before, it was right after my sister's wedding. And I had a complete fit. Like, why would you change my baby's food? And I was talking about my dog and the Great Dane because they were reluctant to eat it. But the Labrador, he would just eat anything. I don't even think he smelled things. He passed away within like a week and a half because he kept eating whatever it was. And the other animals I would not allow. Like, there was like actual fighting words, right? Turns out all three of them have damaged livers because the Labrador actually went from severe hepatic failure within like a week and a half. And so he passed in like a week and a half after that diet change, so that just tells me that it was just something very evil that took my puppies a lot sooner than they should have, but nevertheless, they were loved. Having said that, I find it really weird that all three of them, the first one went really instant. Within like a couple of days, his eyes were yellow, and then that's it. It was done. And Zeus had a really bad liver. His tumor was lymphoma, and something in his spleen burst, I guess, from the transport. I don't know. And he bled out. It's basically what happened to my bear. Ruffian, on the other hand, she also has liver damage. So I have no idea I know now. So I just have to say, I know what caused this, and the liver damage they all share, but not the cancer, which is really weird. I didn't start feeding my dogs. I didn't feed them garbage. I always fed them good food. So I don't see how, they have liver issues other than that one thing of that evil person. But anyway, I thought I'd share that. I'm still broken over it, but it'll pass, right? So today we're going to do, I did start a little bit early, and I thought today, I know the second half of the show, I will not be able to air through Facebook, YouTube, and I think DLive. So, come on over to Twitch. It's free while I'm live. You don't have to pay for a subscription if you don't want to. There's Trovo as well, and there's Rumble. The second half will be moved over right after intermission. So we're going to be talking some really serious stuff, a lot of different stuff, but I thought that I would start today with something super awesome that I found that actually made my day. And there's like this singer, this musician. You know what? You have to watch this and listen. Well, for those of you listening, you can hear it. I'll see you in a bit. Just take a listen.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some media outlets use their own personal bias and agenda to control
Because of you, we're in this mess. Forever you will acquiesce. How you love to be deceived. Whatever they tell you, you believe. Get a sight, get a mind. Use believer, you are blind. Critical thinker, you are not. Never independent thought. Boxing to your paradigm. Hypnotized with pantomime. Regurgitating all you hear. Spread your terror, spread your fear. Yeah! Never your mind to be free. Never your eyes will ever see. Let the mood of tyranny begging for your slavery. They who have remote control, the keys know your very soul. Tune into the great deceiver. Television watching news believer. Inject your poison where your mask. All they have to do is ask. Never questioning authority. Blindly following like sheep. Yes sir, no sir, free backs fool. You television watching fool. Yeah. Never your mind to be free. Never your eyes will ever see. Let the brood of tyranny begging for your slavery. They who have remote control, the keys know your very soul. Tune into the great deceiver. Television watching news believer. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. Extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is 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 extremely dangerous to our democracy. In their world forever locked. Into their world forever boxed. Reality you leave behind. A prisoner of your own mind. Forever you will be deceived. Never, ever to be free. Yeah. Never your mind to be free. Never your eyes will ever see. Let the brood of tyranny begging for your slavery. They who have remote control, the keys know your very soul. Tune into the great deceiver. Television watching news believer. Never your mind to be free. Never your eyes will ever see. Let the brood of tyranny begging for your slavery. They who have remote control, the keys know your very soul. Tune into the great deceiver. Television watching news believer. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous.
That was the conspiracy theorist music guru. I'm going to play some other of his songs today. I found him when I was looking for a video, and I don't know why it came up under conspiracy theory, but his video is so badass, I had to share it. So there's a lot going around, a lot of information, misinformation, disinformation, but I think it's important that we take a little sidestep and kind of understand how this war is coming and how it's happening. So today we're going to talk about things that nobody really likes to talk about. And that is, well, are you ready? Are you going to be ready in a week, month, a year? When are you going to be ready to hear things and to actually do things? And many might say, well, what do you mean? Well, you'll see. Hopefully today you'll understand a few things. People need to remember that the most powerful revolutions often, quite often, started in the shadows quietly. And then, everybody began to dance. Everybody. And in the United States of America, Roosevelt said it best. We all descended from immigrants and revolutionists, right? And it's in our blood. So what we need to remember is a guy named Patrick Henry. Before we do that, I want to introduce you to the first secret agents of war. Now, I had Millie Weaver use portions of this, but I want you to listen to the first 10 minutes of this. This is pretty long, so we're only going to do about 10 minutes.
OSS. Today, the letters conjure up cloak and dagger images of romance and intrigue in far-flung corners of the world. Trenchcoat rituals staged on foggy airfields and in murky cafes, where secret agents exchange microfilm for letters of transit. But in 1942, the letters OSS meant different things to different people. To an outsider, they stood for Oh So Secret, an enigmatic shadow organization of spies and saboteurs, the predecessor to today's CIA. To skeptical detractors, OSS stood for Oh So Social.
Predecessor to the CIA, did it ever actually shut down, technically?
Because it counted among its members the cream of East Coast society, sons and daughters of America's oldest, richest, and most influential families. The Astors, Mellons, Morgans, DuPont, Vanderbilt, Roosevelt. To those in military intelligence and the FBI, OSS meant amateur. Civilian dilettantes who got in the way, dabbling in the work of professionals. But to the line soldier ready to hit the beach or parachute into enemy territory, OSS often spelled the difference between life and death, depending on the accuracy of the intelligence those amateurs provided. The daring men and women of the Office of Strategic Services. In July 1940, 3 weeks after France fell, leaving Great Britain as the last outpost of democracy in Europe, America had a choice to make. Back Britain's stand against the Nazis or write off Europe and pursue the path of isolationism that many U.S. politicians were calling for. Against the advice of Joseph P. Kennedy, his ambassador to Great Britain, President Franklin Roosevelt sent a special envoy to London to gauge the English stomach for war. The envoy was a successful Wall Street lawyer named William J. Donovan. Donovan had been the most highly decorated hero of World War I. He knew Roosevelt personally, and although he was a Republican, Donovan shared FDR's view that America should assume the role of leadership in world affairs. Throughout the 1930s, Donovan had logged countless miles on fact-finding missions for the president. But this mission to England would be one of the most important assignments ever undertaken by an American citizen, because the fate of free Europe hung in the balance. In the ensuing days, Donovan met with Winston Churchill and visited the headquarters of the Special Operations Executive Branch of British Intelligence, the SOE. The SOE had recently been formed for the purposes of sabotage and subversion in German-occupied territory. When Donovan returned to Washington, he assured Roosevelt that the British resolve was strong and that America should back the island nation with all the support it could muster. The following spring, as the specter of war grew closer, FDR became increasingly frustrated with the disjointed and conflicting information he was getting from G2, the military intelligence branch of the Army, and the FBI. Donovan proposed to the president the creation of a central agency for collecting, sifting, and analyzing this intelligence. On July 11, 1941, by executive order, the Office of COI, Coordinator of Information, was established. The coordinator himself, not surprisingly, was to be William J. Donovan. Roosevelt's wording of the executive order was deliberately vague, so as not to antagonize G2 or the FBI. But that vagueness also gave Donovan unprecedented freedom in creating his intelligence service. Later, when America entered World War II, the COI was incorporated into the military under a new name, Office of Strategic Services. In the early days of the OSS, it wasn't what you knew, but whom you knew. Donovan's mission was to create an agency whose methods, indeed its very existence, needed to be top secret. But in 1941, there were spies everywhere. Who could be trusted? He began by recruiting his friends, people he'd known for years, people who'd traveled with international contacts, fellow lawyers, bankers, business clients, club members, contacts he'd made from a lifetime of doing business among the wealthy and social elite. And those friends brought along their friends.
All the cute girls wanted to work for the OSS because all the cute guys were there. A lot of marriages were made, and more affairs were had. It was considered to be a very sort of chic thing to do, to belong to the OSS. There were Morgans and Vanderbilts and all sorts of society names. And it was romantic. There was a kind of elite esprit to serving in intelligence. It was dashing, and it became like a club.
Donovan set out to secure the best and the brightest for the COI. The name of the game was intelligence, and he scoured the country for what he considered to be good spy material. Smart, talented, self-assured individualists. Donovan's organization grew quickly. To his rivals like FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover and General George V. Strong, commander of G2 Army Intelligence, it was much too quickly. But with Roosevelt's backing, Donovan couldn't be stopped. Among notable COI recruits were playwrights Archibald MacLeish, Robert Sherwood, writers Stephen Vincent Benet, Thornton Wilder, actors Sterling Hayden and Marlene Dietrich, director John Ford, and future cooking guru Julia Child. If the gravest predictions proved correct, America would be fighting a world war for stakes no less than freedom itself. She would need to muster every asset, every resource to that end. Donovan signed up geographers, historians, mathematicians, cartographers, scientists, botanists, and anthropologists to create complete profiles of countries and